I started with this song. I'll introduce myself a little bit and then I'll do a song. Hi, it looks like
I got it. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the Friends of the Eugene Public Library and the Eugene Public Library Foundation for all of the fundraising they do that allow us to offer wonderful programs like this one. Today we are very excited to welcome Shannin Stutzman, and she is going to share Kalapuya stories and songs with us and some of the history and culture of the indigenous people of this area. So, thanks so much. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Shannin.
What I have till an hour? And you're going to stop a little bit early for questions. Kapai, that means hello in Kalapuya. Tikankwat Shannin Stutzman. We're working really hard on our dictionary project, our language right now, so I'm trying to. This is my very first solo act. Usually it's my mom, and I just kind of, go on, and then I start singing, and then, I grew up with the stories, so I know them all. So this is my first official solo act. And usually what we do is we start our sessions with a song. So this is like the native rendition, I guess you could say, of like the Pledge of Allegiance or the Star Spangled Banner or something like that. It's a flag song. Thank you, Missy. Where you are right now is the land of my grandmother's people, the Kalapuya. We are John Kalapuya, which is southernmost tribe, and then it goes all the way up to the borders of Oregon City. So there were originally 15,000 young Kalapuyas here in Oregon, and because of the treaties and all that other stuff, we're now down to, I don't remember the numbers right now. My mom does all the technical stuff, but so we right now what we're at is we are trying to preserve our language. We had a good friend of ours who started collecting all the language, listening to all the tapes and stuff. So we put together, just came out. This is the Kalapuya dictionary. There's 4 of them. 2 are English to Kalapuya and 2 are Kalapuya to English. This man said, I'm going to get this thing done, before I die. So we've been working about 7 years on this. And every time we see him, he'd say, oh, wait, I got another thing to change to the dictionary. Oh, I got to do this. And I can't. Language to me is easier to learn if you're speaking back and forth to me. Reading it, I can't do that part of it. But we don't have anyone that speaks a language. It's what we call a sleeping language. But thanks to Paul, his name was Paul McCartney, Jr. And he had some health issues, and he said, I'm going to get this thing done. Unfortunately, within 2 weeks after he finished this, he passed away. But we got it done. So this is from this library, so they're available here. We're selling or asking for a donation for $150. We already sold the first 100, and that gave us enough money to print 50 more. We just loaded those up the other day. They're pretty heavy, but so this is, you're not going to learn a language. You're not going to be able to speak fluently off of these, but it's enough to, get people interested in, name your dog. I named my dog Folly, which means raven, different things like that. So this is a big project we've been working on lately. We actually had, my daughter did a GoFundMe, and she raised $10,000 within 2 weeks because Paul had passed away, and he was going to pay for it out of his pocket. So she did a GoFundMe, and she raised enough money, and then BuzzFeed got a hold of it, and so they came down and did a video on the language project, and they donated some money, and now we've had several news stations come and do some interviews, but they are available for donation. That's also available here at the Eugene Library. They were also donated to all the local schools and universities and community colleges. That's what Paul wanted to do, was to donate them. So this is the big thing that is going on with us right now. We use our language, we're teaching it at our youth camp. It's just fun. It's a lot of fun. I wish Paul was still here to help me out, because sometimes I can't. It's, there's, the verb never changes. So sit, sat, and sat, it doesn't matter. It's just one word for, what I mean? There's no gender specification at all. So, and there's no connecting words. It's all real, like, caveman, I guess you can say. Like, if I were to say, Shannon's walking down to the river, you just say, Shannon, go river. Shannon eats all. There's nothing that's going to connect those words. So it's kind of hard in a way, because you want to add in those words. So this is our big thing we're working on right now. And then afterwards, if you guys have any questions, I also have links to the GoFundMe, the BuzzFeed video, and the Facebook stuff that we're doing. So I grew up raised traditional. My grandpa is Coos, Hannes Coos from Coos Bay, and my grandmother is Kalapuya. And I grew up, I thought it was normal to sit around and listen to stories and go to powwows. I mean, that was just what we did. And I just never knew the whole time I was learning. And I mean, I could do my mom's stories with my eyes closed backwards, every movement, every raise of the voice, every, just because I've seen it so much. So, and I never thought I'd be a storyteller. But she's almost 80 now, and she's just she gets really tired just coming to town and going back home. So I guess I'm taking over because she told me to. Like I said, growing up, storytelling was just part of we'd sit on the floor right in front of our elders, and we always knew you sit there, you put your hands on your lap, and that's what you do. You don't move, you don't pick at your neighbor. Some of the storytelling rules were, if you lay down during a story, you will never grow as tall as you're supposed to. If you stand up while a story is being told, you will come humpback, Bondi. Lots of different things that go along with that, just so kids will, sit there and pay attention. We taught them lessons without them even knowing. And to this day, I'll sit on the floor with my hands on my lap when mom's telling stories, like, that's just what we did. And fortunately, my kids learned them too, so all my girls can get up here and do the same type of thing. But one of my favorite stories is a story about Coyote. You see, Coyote, around this area, he was a trickster. Different tribes use different things, maybe a medicine man, different things. But I always grew up him being a trickster. Like if you're walking in the woods and you trip on a branch, Coyote did that. He changed himself into that branch and tricked you, because that's just how Coyote is. Well, one day Coyote was walking through the woods, and he's walking along, and he looks over, and here are the Chipmunk sisters, Quisick. and they're sitting around the fire, and they were playing the best game ever. They were taking out their eyes, and they were tossing them in the air. Gampia, gampia! And the eyes would pop back in, and they'd laugh because it tickled so much when those eyes popped back in. So Coyote was looking at them, and they'd take out their eyes and toss them in the air. Gampia, gampia! And the eyes popped back in, and oh gosh. So Coyote was over there, he goes, show me this game. I know my eyes are gonna tickle so much when they pop back in my head. Quizzic's sister said, no way, Coyote, we know you. You don't always tell the truth, and plus, you don't have enough magic power. Well, it's kind of upset Coyote. He's thinking, oh, I'm Coyote, I can do anything I want. So he kind of walked away, mumbling and grumbling and kicking his feet around. And so then he realized that he was kind of out in the middle where nobody else was. And he thought, maybe I'll go ahead and try this. So Coyote had these big, blue, beautiful eyes, like the color of the sky. And this is what my mom always says, that a long time ago, all of them had blue eyes. And that was one of his features, was his beautiful eyes. So he took out his eyes and tossed them in the air. Gampia, gampia! And the eyes popped back in, and he laughed, because it really did tickle when his big, beautiful eyes popped back in his head. So he looked around again to make sure no one was around, took his eyeballs out again, tossed them in the air. Gampia, gampia! And the eyes popped back in, and he thought, this is the best game that I've ever made up. That's how Coyote is. So he's sitting there, oh yeah, this is so much fun. I can't wait to tell my friends this game I made up. So he takes them out again, and he tosses them in the air. Gampia, gampia! Gampia, gampia! Gampia, gampia! Well, you know what? His eyes never came back. Mom said that they landed on the ground in the forest, and the raccoon brothers stole them, and that's what they play marbles with in the woods. It's a noise you hear at night when you're camping, those little noises. Well, he's like, he didn't know what to do. He didn't have any eyes, so he gets down on the ground, he starts feeling around. And he's feeling around, and he's thinking like, oh my gosh, I need to find these eyes. And he finds something that's, oh, I think these are rocks. I'll try these rocks. Puts them in his eyes and starts to say his magic words, and oh, they're just way too heavy and just hard, so he tosses them off. He's searching around some more, then he found like some branches, some stick type things, so he broke them up, and then he had splinters all over his hands. He thought, I can't put those in my eyes, in my head. So he feels around, and he's looking, well, not looking obviously because he can't see, but he's feeling around, and all of a sudden he finds something that's kind of round feeling, and they're soft. So he picked them. He picked them up, and he put them in his eyes, and he sang his songs and said his prayers, and when he opened them up, he could see. Well, Coyote, what he'd done is found a patch of little yellow buttercups. And if you look at coyotes today, they have those little yellow eyes. And that's all because of Coyote and him losing his eyes. And so all the story, there's a lesson or there's something like that. So that's what we tell you, don't copy people. If you're at school taking a test, don't look at your neighbors, So don't be like Coyote. Remember the story? I'm like, okay. My friends are always like, who's Coyote? Well, but those are some of the things that, there's a lesson or there's a story about creation of some sort. Why does Coyote have yellow eyes? Things like that. So that's the things that I grew up on. I'm just trying to think what story to think. The drum, as far as the drumming goes, the style of drumming that I do it's just general intertribal powwow drumming. Unfortunately, because we don't have our language, which also means we kind of lost our songs and our everything we do, from weaving baskets and fishing and everything like that. Then what we know, we've just learned from other people. We're great friends with the Applegates, and they took a lot of data about everything they did. And so they had a lot of data about like our tribe and our tribe right there in Noncala, which is really neat. So we've been friends with the Applegates for over 150 years. The drumming, like I said, is just intertribal powwow drum. So if you go to a powwow, it's intertribal. So if everyone in here is from a different tribe, they figured out a way to finally, do that together without it being a certain tribe. And it's not anything that's ceremony, because those are private. But it's just fun, and basically it's respect. That's what we teach our kids. I've been working with kids for, I'm almost 50. So all my life. Our camp is 46 years it's been camp going on. It's a traditional camp that, they're on a schedule, they do jobs, but they learn their language, they're drumming, they're dancing, they're singing. Most of all, they learn respect. And it's mostly respect for yourself and respect for your elders and respect for Mother Earth. And some of those kids come home and the parents are like, what did you do to my child? He's like helping me unload the groceries and taking the garbage out, you know. But it is a great program, we really like it. And that's what we teach there, is we teach them the intertribal powwow drumming. This is a hand drum, which was gifted to me by I think I got it for Christmas a long time ago. But it's just a little single person drum with a little handle in the back, wooden stick. We do have a big powwow drum that we take to powwows. Big, huge one that sits on the floor and we all drum together. And so what I do is I have all the kids at the local schools. I just open it to everyone else to come. And then before you know it, we had our own little drum group with a bunch of kids, and we went all over the place to powwows and stuff drumming. And the songs that I sing are mostly vocables. A vocable is a sound or an expression in place of a word. So that first song I sang, there was no words in it. It was just like, you know how we hum or do or make noises to go with the melody. That's basically what a vocable is. A word song has actual words from different languages. A lot of them are Lakota or stuff like that. There's some pretty famous drum groups out there. But like I said, this is just general powwow drumming. I don't do anything that's ceremonial or anything like that. So I'm deciding if I want to sing a song or if I want to tell another story. I'll sing a song so that my drum. So this song is a friendship song or a round dance, and this is something that they do a lot of powwows. You know, you haven't seen someone in a long time, you dance around, you shake hands, you say hi, you know. Maybe it's like the only time you see these people is at powwow. You don't see them around. So it's nice to say hello and things like that to your friends that you haven't seen in a while. I don't know if I can remember this song. I'm not used to doing it all by myself. I sit there and mom talks and tells stories, and I get up and tell a song, sing a song, so it's back and forth, so I'm not used to doing the whole thing. And Missy, thank you, Missy, for helping me out there. She's our cook at our camp, and she cooks for like almost up to 100 people, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack. I don't know how she does it, but she's crazy. So for storytelling, as far as like lessons are learned, another one of my favorite stories kind of has to do with, I guess, kind of more like teenage age things, the lesson in that. But this story, I'm going to need a little help from the audience because it's not just you guys looking and listening. If you're paying attention, now this is a story that my mom would tell to make sure that we were paying attention and not goofing around. I was always goofing around. So what we're going to do is when I say bear, you're going to go, roar, okay? Got that? Okay. When I say crow lady, you're gonna go caw, caw, caw. All of you can do it. It's okay. Don't be embarrassed. And then we're gonna say, trying to think of who else was in it. Bear. Oh, beaver. The tail on the water. Okay. And then we've got coyote. Oh. And then the other one is the sea lions down on the coast. Or. Okay, so let me tell you the story. So don't forget to make those noises. Okay, so a long time ago, there was this bird, and she was beautiful. I mean, she had rainbow feathers of red and blue and purple and green, and she'd fly through the forest, and everyone would say, oh my goodness, look at Crow Lady. And she knew it. She knew she was beautiful. She'd just fly around and spread her wings and everything like that. Well, she got into this habit of stealing food because she thought she was too beautiful to dig in the dirt, to cook some food, or otherwise. So that's what she did. She'd fly, and she'd go flying through the forest, and she'd land in the village of the grizzly bears. She'd get up in that tree right there, and she'd look down there, and she'd see that there's a nice basket of salmon. Oh, no one's around, so she'd fly down there. She'd pick up that basket, and she'd sit up in her tree, and she'd eat her food, and then she'd wash her face and fluff her feathers because she was so beautiful, she thought. Well, if she was still hungry, she'd fly up in the mountaintops. She'd go up there to a pond to the village of the beavers. Now, the beavers had roots, and she loved roots, especially when they're steamed and you peel. She'd sit up in her tree, and she'd look down, and when there's a basket, she'd fly down, pick up that basket up to the tree, and she'd eat it real easy, and then she'd clean her face and wash her beef and fluff her feathers because she was so beautiful, she thought. And if she was still hungry, she'd fly all the way over the mountains and over to the coast to the village of the sea lions. And they had fish, and they had oysters, and they had like a seafood buffet. She'd sit there and wait for it, and she'd see that basket, and she'd fly down, pick up that basket, get up in the tree, and she'd eat the food, and then she'd clean her beak and fluff her feathers because she was so beautiful, she thought. Well, this started getting a little old, and the animals were getting upset. So they got together, and they decided to go and find the wisest man to talk to, and that was Coyote. Oh. So they all went to Coyote and said, Coyote, we don't know what to do. There's this person, and she's stealing our food, and her name is Crow Lady. She steals salmon from the bears. She steals roots from the beavers. And she steals seafood from the sea lions. And they said, what do we do? Well, that right man, Coyote, he was like, I think I have an idea. So this is what they did. All of the animals got together, and they all gathered at the village of the grizzly bears. And they got this basket of food, and they put sticky pitch around the edges of the basket so that when she got it, she looked up. So they all went and hid. And sure enough, before you know it, here comes Crow Lady flying through the forest. With her feathers so beautiful, and she lands in the tree right there at the village of the grizzly bears. She looks down, and there's this huge basket of food, and she's just, So she flies down, she gets the basket, and she gets up in the tree, and she all of a sudden, she realizes that she's stuck to the basket. She doesn't know what to do, so she starts trying to get away from the basket, and she's fumbling, and she's losing her balance, and the next thing you know, she just falls down the tree and falls right into a big mud puddle. Well, all those animals came up to her, and they started rolling around in the mud. And then someone lit a fire in the smokehouse. So they gathered her up all muddy, and they tossed her in the smokehouse and shut the door. Well, before you know it, it's almost like a cartoon. That thing just got, smoky and full. It looks like it's going to explode. And she just, poof, flew right out of the chimney and then landed on the ground. And she hurt her leg, and she was like, oh, my leg, it hurts so much. She was hopping around, and she looked, and all of a sudden she's like, oh, my feathers, they're all black and smoky, and why did you do this? Why? You can still hear her say that today. Why? Well, they said, this is because you stole salmon from the grizzly bears, roots from the beavers, and all that seafood from the sea lions. And this is your punishment. You will walk around like this for the rest of your life, asking why. why you did this to me. And if you see her today, you'll see her hopping around, scrounging for food with her black feathers, and she's, why? Well, if you take one of her feathers and you hold it up to the light, you can see iridescent colors of the rainbow on those feathers, and that is why Crow Lady is how she is today. My mom used to say, get out of the bathroom, Crow Lady, you look just fine. But, so that's, like I said, that's kind of a fun story to do too, because a lot of people, adults especially, or cool teenagers, will be like, they don't even want to make the noises or anything like that. I know if I didn't, I'd get in big trouble by the time I got home. So, storytelling is something that's, I guess, it's a tradition that's not what a lot of people do when they grow up. Like I said, I never thought I'd be a storyteller, but I just kind of did. And so I think it's a tradition, it's a art, I guess you call it. And I didn't realize how much people enjoyed it and just wanted to hear it, even adults. We do, what's that called? We do something up in Portland for the, it's for like mostly elderly people that travel on the buses all through the United States. What is that called? I forgot. But we'd always go to Portland and they'd put us up at the Hilton. But these elders were so cute because they're just all these elders. They had so many questions and they just enjoy it. Oh, I'm going to come back next year just so I can hear your stories. And I never realized how much influence, I guess it was, and what people learn or get from some of these stories. So that's why I figured I could do it since my mom couldn't anymore. Let's see, why don't I'll tell another story and then I'll sing another song. So this story, another one, I guess they're all my favorites, but this story is a favorite. Now, did anybody make the sound of a snake? No, that's a Eugene snake. A Kalapuya snake goes, okay? So this is another thing where you're gonna have to help me tell the story. So when you see me go, put my hand up to my ear, you guys make that sound. Okay, ready? We're gonna practice, ready? Good job. Okay, well, let me tell you about Snake. Well, a long time ago, Snake was, just like us. He'd stand up on 2 feet, walk around like this, and he was very tall and very slender. And this one snake was probably one of the most handsome snakes you've ever seen in your life. Like, he'd walk around and he'd bat his eyes at the ladies and stuff like that. And he was really, all around a really nice guy. But he had one really bad habit, is he loved to tell people what to do. So if he was walking through the forest and there was a little boy trying to pull a yew wood stick to make a bow, he would say, "Oh, you stop doing that. Do it my way." And the little boy would. And the snake would say, that's what he always said when he thought it was right. So he would walk through the woods again, and here's a little girl, and she's trying to scrape a hide. He said, "Oh, you stop that. That's not how you do that. Do it my way." Well, the little girl did, and Snake said, well, he's starting to get tired of helping these humans all the time. So he walks up, and here's the village of the human beings. And he looked in there, and he just shook his scaly head and thought, everyone's doing something wrong. I'm just going to have to move into this village, and I'm going to have to help people every day. So sure enough, he goes right to that village. He builds a huge lodge, and he, helps himself sit there. Every single day, that snake would go out there and tell people what to do. If there was a woman making moccasins, he'd walk up and say, "That's not how you do it. Do it my way." And when the woman did, Snake would say, that's what he always said when he thought it was right. This snake was annoying as I could imagine. And just every single day, the snake, it was just out there, and people were just so tired of it. And they're thinking, what can we do with this snake? Because he's about to drive us crazy, And nobody wants somebody coming around every day telling them what to do or how to do it. So they came up with the plan. So one night when Snake was sleeping in his lodge, all nice and cozy, they snuck into this lodge. Well, what they did is they tied this rope made out of clisquis, wild iris, around his feet and his hands so he couldn't get away. Well, Coyote woke up and he stood up and said, "This is not how you tie somebody up. Do it my way." And the people were like, okay. Well, they laughed, So Coyote says, "Okay, if you want to tie somebody up, have them stand up like this." start the rope at the bottom of their ankles, wrap it around so tight they can't even wiggle their toes. Then put their hands to the sides of their body and keep wrapping that rope around so tight they can't even wiggle their fingers. So the people did. They wrapped that snake up so tight he couldn't move it. When they did, all the way up to his chin, he looked himself up and down and he said, because he knew he was right. Well, people laughed, they wanted to tie this, and he had helped tie himself up. So they took him and they laid him down on the floor. He was long and skinny and said, Snake, we're tired of you telling us what to do. We're going to carry you so far out of this village that you'll never find your way back. Well, they tried to lift him up, but he was so long and heavy, they decided they would start rolling him. So they took the snake and they started rolling the snake. They rolled the snake for a long time. They rolled the snake for days and days and days. And every time they come to a hill, they start to go up the hill. He was so big they flattened that hill. And they rolled and rolled and rolled. Pillock pot. Just rolled the snake forever and ever. Every time they hit a hill, they'd come up. They were going to roll him all the way up to the Columbia River. So they're rolling this snake, and they come to another hill, and they roll, and he'd flatten that hill. And that's why the Willamette Valley is so flat. So you keep rolling that snake and roll him all the way up to the big river, Columbia. And soon, before they knew it, Coyote started getting thinner and longer and thinner and longer. And before they knew it, he just wiggled right out of his ropes. And when he came out, he looks like he just a day with no arms and no legs. But if you ever run into a snake out in the grass, he'll look at you and he'll say, because he remembers the time when he was right, and that's the story of Snake. Anybody have a snake in their family? With my dad. Like, he'll come to the kitchen and be like, oh, can I go? He's like, okay. It's a better way than saying, leave me alone. My kids just do it when they're little. All the time. What are you guys doing? He's telling me what to do. Kids. Let's see. Any requests? No. We also have songs that have English words in them. A lot of these songs are what we call owl dances or partner dances. A long time ago, some tribes, they didn't have like female and male. They had their own way of, getting them together, but they saw the pioneers and they were doing the line with the fiddle and all that kind of stuff, and they thought, oh wait, we can do this too, So a lot of these songs are more modernized. They do have English words in them, and a lot of songs also that have words in them are for the kids, because we want our kids to keep dancing. We want them to keep going, and so what they do is depends on what POW is, 7 and under, 9 and whatever. They go on the dance floor, and when they dance, when they're done, they line up and they get like $1 and some stuffed animals or something just to kind of keep them dancing. So a lot of those songs like Mickey Mouse and SpongeBob and all these other ones with English words. So there are songs that do have English words. So now I just have to decide which one was there. Let's see. Okay, this is one, this is probably one of the first songs I ever learned growing up. And I can remember sitting out in the grass or something like that. There's big, huge, what tribe was he? It was a big, tall guy. His name was Sweetwater Martin. And he was just humongous. You wear those glasses that you flip up the sunglass part. He always had those little blinders on all the time. And he'd talk like this and sit down and, he'd say, you want to take the lead? And I was like, yeah. No. I couldn't remember the lead. He would sit there all day, all night until I at least tried. And I was, God, I can't do that anymore. But he passed me the lead and I was going, oh yeah. Oh crap, but that's how I learned, was he would sit there all day long with me until he's all, just try, he's real bossy. I loved him to death though. And then I was probably, 25 years old, and we went and did a presentation at school. And he sang this song that I had heard several times, and I was like, oh, can you teach me that song? He's like, yeah, sit down. So assembly's done, and we're sitting there drumming, and we're singing, and all of a sudden he passes me the lead. What do I do? Yeah. And I'm like, oh God, what did I just do to myself? So I'm sitting there forever trying. 25 years old, you think I'd learned by then. But that's how I learned. This one is, it originally was, I'm from Oklahoma. It's like a love song because it's a partner's dance. But then our drum group that we had for the kids made up their own little version. So I'll do one of each. One I'll do the original song, and then I'll do the one that we made for our drum group. schools.
We have together.
We sang out on the porch like Christmas when it snowed. My friend, she was over, her friend was visiting, and we're like, we're gonna sing. I live way outside of Yoncall, so no one really heard us. I don't think. My mom's the closest. That's so weird. I just live right next to my mom. But so a little bit about this drum. Now this drum is made of wood. It's this one's pieced together with like small pieces of wood, kind of like glued together. Maybe they're like got some of those wooden. And then the hide itself can be made from like a deer, elk, horse, who knows, cow. What they do is they take that hide off that animal, and then they have to scrape the hide. Has anybody ever scraped a hide? Oh my gosh. But I saw something on TikTok. This guy was free scraping. We like got it wet and put it outside and it froze. And then he scraped it that way. He said it was so much easier that way. And it's kind of groaning and sitting there. I've seen drums that actually still have hair on them. You scrape it really clean and then you wrap it around this drum while it's still wet. And it's like, you guys rawhide bones for your dog. So when they chew it to heck, turns to slime. Yeah. That's how this turns out. And it's like you put it over the frame and it kind of feels really yucky. And you put it on there and you string it up like this and then you let it dry for a while. And then you come in and wrap it some more and pull it tighter and then wait a while. It takes a while to make. And pull it tighter and tighter and tighter until it gets really hard. And it's like your rawhide bones for your dog. This stick is actually just a piece of wood with a little leather head on it. The sticks that we use for drumming are made out of, what are those things called again, Missy? What do you, when your tent sticks out, your antennas for the drumsticks? You know that when you put your tent together, the flexible.
Tent stakes?
Yeah, not the stakes, but the poles.
The poles, yeah.
They're real flexible.
Yeah.
So we use those for our drumsticks because when you're sitting down drumming, you want to, because this would just break. But everyone makes them different. My mom likes to put concrete, I think, inside of hers. I like ace bandages in mine. It gives a little bit of bounce. So like this is just the construction of it. The big drum, like I said, it sits up off the ground. It's really super big, and everyone can sit around it. We had the drum at a Grand Ron powwow one time, and we were sitting there drumming, and the head broke. I don't know if it was bad medicine or what happened, but we're just drumming, and someone went to do the heartbeats, and it was split. So we had it around for a long time, and we've been doing some moving and cleaning, and I saw it, and I was like, what are you gonna do with it? It was just a frame. It was painted red, so 8 pieces of, and then she's like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, Mom, we have to do something with this drum because, so many years ago, all these kids and all these people, we go to powwow and we have people that are like 50 years old that just jump in because we're singing the old songs. So I took it home and I sat there and I thought, what in the heck can I do with this drum, with these pieces? And so what I decided to do was going to be really cool. Is every piece is I'm doing a silhouette of it. So since it was a powwow drum, like one of the pieces I'm doing a silhouette of like a traditional, women's traditional, men's traditional, then I'll do men's traditional jingle dress, grass dance, and then fancy shawl and men's double bustle. And then the other 2 panels I'm doing just says, so I got the 2 arrows like this and it says powwow around it. And then I'm just going to shoot 2 eagle feathers, but I'm going to put it up like a set so I can display. So, yeah. My mom was like, oh, I don't know what to do. So I'm like, Mom, there's no way you can get rid of that. What are you going to use it for firewood or something? That's not a good thing. So yeah, I'm really excited to get that done. And these are actually pretty sturdy. I don't know why that head broke originally. Okay, so we got time for the story maybe, or a song, and then we'll do questions.
Are you gonna do the children's version?
Huh? Did somebody say something?
She did.
What? I'm sorry.
Were you gonna do the children's version of Oh, you did.
Oh, the children's drumming song?
That was the one.
Oh, I could. That one was as a partisans. I could do that, yeah. And some of those songs are so fun, but the kids were like, can they sing Mickey Mouse? I'm like, if we have to sing Mickey Mouse,
No.
And he always has a phrase, Mickey Mouse, Pluto too, or Tinkerbell. And one time I was like, Shannin too, because I was just like, okay, I'll say it one more time. But I'll sing that song. I'm just trying to think of one more quick story. I'm gonna look at. Can you think of any stories? I know there's a million of them, but there's not one. Okay. So a long time ago, down, like I said, I'm also coast. Well, on the coast, people over there, they canoe in the ocean and they dig for clams and they fish like that. Well, over there, these people, when they were they were living in a village, a long time ago. They didn't have fingers, so they had hands like this. And Creator looked down and he thought, oh gosh, how am I going to do this? So he thought, okay, well, I'll just give Coyote a job. I'm just going to give him a job. He could go down and he could be the helper. He could be the man. That's how Coyote is. So Coyote went down there and he's like, okay, so whatever you need, just let me know. And so before he knew it, he had everyone. Will you braid my hair? Will you think about it? What can you do with basically shovels? You can't braid your hair. You can't do lots of things. And before you know it, Coyote was just so tired. He was tired of people. I mean, he loved the attention, but he was so tired of doing all the work for the other people. He's braiding the hair, and he's weaving baskets, and he's doing this, and he's doing that, and he's just exhausted. So one day he just decided, I'm just going to take a break. So he goes down by the beach, and he lays there, and eventually he falls asleep. Well, he wakes up, and the people are like, Coyote, get up, we're hungry, we need our food. And he was like, kind of scared at first, but he's like, oh, go away, leave me alone, go get your own food, and he's like, you can braid your own hair, you can figure it out. And so they walked away, and the Coyote was like, what can I do? I could take my knife and I could just cut them all fingers, but that I don't want to hurt the people, And he thought, well, maybe I could make out of bark or wood, I could make these things they put on with fingers, but wait, they wouldn't be able to figure out how to use fingers individually. So he sat there just brainstorming and trying to think, how in the heck can I give these people's fingers? Because I'm tired of this job. Well, he thought so long, so hard that he fell asleep again. And before he knew it, here comes the people. They're kicking him and they're like, Coyote, get up. We're hungry. Come on, we need our hair braided. We need basket. We need lots of stuff. And he was like, you guys just leave me alone. And they're like, oh, okay. They've never seen Coyote get so angry before. So he sat there and he kept thinking, okay, I know what I could do. I could make some clay from the ocean here, and I could form fingers around these, and I could think, no, that's not going to work either. So he thought of all these great things, but none of them really worked. So of course, Coyote fell asleep again, and before he knows it, he's got kids bouncing on his belly and everything. They're like, we're so hungry, and he's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do here? And he stops and he looks around, and he's like, you go get your own food. Look at your hands. Look at the bait. The tide is out, and your hands are perfect for clam digging. And the people thought they are, but they were so hungry, they didn't care. So what they did is they all ran down to the beach, and they all started digging for clams. Well, before you know it, they're screaming, ouch, 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 and the Coyote's thinking, what's going on down there, And he stopped, and before you knew it, everyone was down there screaming, ouch, ouch, and what had happened is they were so hungry, they didn't care. They were digging so fast for those clams that each of them cut their hands into 5 fingers. And that's the reason why people have fingers today, and it's all thanks to Coyote. Okay, I'll sing Mickey Mouse. It's not too bad when you don't sing it every week. But this is, some of the songs they did to keep the kids dancing. And they're so cute because they're out there dancing. I love it. Mickey Mouse, Pluto, Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Pluto, hey, oh, they all work at Disneyland, 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 hey, oh, Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Pluto, too, they're all movie stars at Disneyland, hey, oh, hey, oh, way, oh, hey, oh, way, oh, way, way, oh, way, hey, oh, way, way, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, way, oh, Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Pluto, too, they're all movie stars at Disneyland, way, oh, hey, oh. So a lot of people ask, where can I hear those songs? How can I order a CD, learn more about the drumming or whatever? But I think some people think that just because it's an old tradition that we're not modern, all you have to do is get on that wonderful web, the computer, and type in powwow.com. You can order CDs, you can order regalia, you can watch dancing and listen to singing, but It's one of the best websites ever, because everyone's like, how do I do this? How do I do? I'm like, the computer, just write powwow.com. But yeah, you can order like jewelry and lots of drums and stuff like that. But they do have like the CDs, and there's this really cool place. It's called powwow.store. They got some really cool like clothing. They have stuff like sheets and shower curtains and some really cool like the Pendleton style stuff. So there's a lot of it out there. All I gotta do is type it in. And then there's another one that's called, they haven't really had a lot of powwows because of COVID. Powwows.com, and then the other one was Powwows of Oregon, I think, but I haven't been to one in Oregon in a long time, so. But I think that's about it for now. I can't see the clock because the light's on it. But yeah, if you guys, I'll go ahead and open it up for questions if you guys have any questions.
So the LCC is gonna have a powwow April 2nd.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Yay! I'm excited.
Lane Community College.
LCC, they have one of the best powwows. They used to have it December 1st or the first weekend in December, and it always was, the weather was always so rainy, sleet, snow, high winds, icy rain every single time. So they're like, I think that's why they changed it to the spring.
And they're gonna have it underneath like a big top,
Yeah,
and then they're gonna have vendors in the gym, and then they're gonna sell
cool.
Indian tacos.
Yeah,
I call them now they're tacos.
Powwows are open to anyone. They're open to the public. They're free to go to. A lot of times they'll feed you dinner. You're gonna sit in the stands and watch. Sometimes they'll say, okay, everybody come and dance. They'll tell you, come on, dance, come on, this. They'll also tell you, like, please remove your hats, please don't take any pictures. Then the vendors, which is like why I like to go, because I do lots of arts and crafts and I cruise around to the vendors. But we also have a fry bread stand, so it's like if I'm not drumming, then I'm doing fry bread or I'm doing my craft stand. So it's a lot of fun, it really is. If you can go check one out, please do. LCC is a really good one. That's so awesome. I'm so excited about it. I think that's about it. Yes.
Yeah, there's a show on, it's 91.
KRVM?
And it's KRVM, and it's from 7 to 9 on.
Is it Thursdays or Wednesdays?
Thursdays.
Yeah, Nick Six Color does that. I love that guy. He's awesome. But yeah, KRVM every Thursday. And, we live way out in the sticks in Yoncalla, so we can get that in a little scratchy. But I love him. He's been the MC at the powwows for years, and he's a crack up. He's a great guy. I really like him a lot.
And the last hour is strictly powwow music.
Yeah, he'll almost go like run through the whole powwow, like grand entry, and go all the way through the whole thing, all the categories and all that kind of stuff. So it's a good thing. A lot of links. And if you're interested, I have the links for the GoFundMe, the video, the dictionary thing. We just got 50 more copies. So if anyone's interested, I'll let you know how to do that. Any more questions?
It looks like your mother's watching from home, and she said that you learned everything very well, and thank you.
She's watching from home?
Yes.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah, you too.
I was wondering, I knew she didn't show up here. She always finds out what I'm doing.
And a lot of people saying thank you for sharing your knowledge and stories. Anna saying that her son and daughter love to sing along.
All this modern technology, man.
Yeah.
Cool, that's cool. Is that saved so we can watch it later?
Yeah. So you can always watch later on the Mark's YouTube page too.
Okay. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I was wondering if you could tell us about the Kalapuya people's relationship with fire in the culture. It's kind of a broad.
Is there going to be, or if I know anything about it? I'm deaf in one ear, so it's hard for me to hear.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just wondering if you could tell us what maybe has been passed to you about the Kalapuya people's relationship with fire and the land.
Yeah, and like our people, what we did, every year we burn that underbrush, you know what I mean? And some tribes, fire's like their main, every tribe has something where it's like something's like their staple or their main thing. Like I went to a storytelling gig and this guy, everything was fire. Pretty cool. But yeah, we burned all the underbrush and nothing caught on fire. We didn't burn the whole place down. We also, what we do is we had camas, and that was our staple food here in the Willamette Valley. It was like an Indian potato, I guess, I don't know. But there's those flowers that pop up in the spring, they're purple, and then you kind of figure out where they are in the fall. You dig them up, and then what you do is make a huge fire, like a deep fire, you wait till you get coals and put them in there and bake them in the ground. You could do things like you dry them up and, like, I guess, shred them or grind them, put them in whatever, and it was a very staple food, but we did a burn for those, I don't know why we did it it was weird, they did it at a weird time of the year, but we did do all the burning and stuff, and we're actually trying to see if we can do that. We've had small donation of some land that where the original Kalapuya people were, and we're trying to do everything traditional we can. We want to bring the canvas back, so the canvas is right there, do that. And I was reading this one part where they had like the fires, and then like when the fires would start, all the grasshoppers would like go down into the deep parts. And so when the fires are, they walk along and pick up those grasshoppers like peanuts and just pop them in their mouth. Little kids running around eating fried grasshoppers and stuff. Sounds good to me, I guess. But if there is anything, most of the stuff we do, we put, like online or it's announced some way. Yes.
I was born and raised on the Navajo reservation.
Oh, okay.
In Arizona, which is the Southwest, and moving to Portland, I adjusted
Because
to
of weather.
the culture, the weather, and just the way they dance,
Mm-hmm.
And I immersed myself in the community, and so I noticed there's a big canoe culture. All the tribes out here in the Pacific Northwest use the waterways, so I was able to be part of the Portland All Nation canoe family. And I think that's just such a beautiful thing that they do. They do what they call
Did you say the canoe family?
yeah, the
Yeah,
canoe family.
yeah.
And I
You
was
have to find one
wondering,
of those in Arizona.
was that part of the Kalapuya culture too?
Mhm.
Where did they have a canoe family? A
We
canoe
have,
culture?
there's a couple things we have regarding Kalapuya, nothing, to the canoe. There's a thing called the talking stones, and those are throughout the, Alton Baker Park. You have all those paths that you can ride or jog on. There should be, unless someone stole them. Originally there was 11, and they all have Kalapuya words on them, and the word on it kind of goes with the area the rock's in. If you go to Alton Baker Park and you can go back by the host house, you can walk, there's a map, and you can walk through it. It tells you where each rock is and what it means. It's a big, when we did the blessing for it, that was the longest hike I think I've ever taken in my life. But I believe they added more. I know at the University of Oregon, there's some people there, I think she took it over. What is her name? Anyway, but there's a lot of resources like Kalapuya, but like I said, we didn't have a lot of documents of what our Don't Call It Kalapuya did, because they sent us to the reservations, and
Yeah.
of course we lost it. And since there wasn't very many people in the village there, Chief Halo, if you've ever heard of him, he's my 5th great grandfather, and we're actually lived like real close to where they were and like where the villages were and stuff like that. And it wasn't passed down because I've been doing a lot of research, and my family, my bloodline, they wanted to be American. They wanted to be like the settlers. They got rid of their clothes. They actually gave up their rights as Indians so they could get land. 150 acres. If you're not Indian anymore, just don't sing, don't dance, don't do anything. So they were just stopped it, And so the last full-blooded Kalapuya Indian passed away in 1819, I think it was. But yeah, so then they went to we were mostly taken to Siletz or Grand Ronde, and then they intermingled with everyone there. So, and no language, no. So we're right now, that's what we're doing. I've been doing so much research about my people, and especially just our family right there in Yoncalla, about what did we do? What did we look like? What did we wear? How did we, live in the valley? But there's a lot of local research. There's David Lewis, he works up at the OSU. He has a lot of knowledge too. It's just hard when you don't really have any documentations,
Have you heard of Edmo?
I've known Ed Edmo since I was shorter than him. That's how long I've known Ed Edmo.
He's part of our canoe family. And
Yeah,
he's just a wealth of knowledge of all the Pacific Northwest.
yeah, because his family used to fish up Saliva Falls.
Yeah.
The storytelling thing is, my mom was in the NISA, which is Northwest Indian Storytelling Association. So all those people that would come do storytelling would go up to Portland, and then she was one of the main people that helped do the Indian education program here in Oregon. She has a curriculum that they put together back like in 1975 or something like that. That is still used to this day. So mom's been hardcore into Indian education since, all my life, that's all I've known. So
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just hard when you don't remember, or people don't remember, so it's hard to pass down. So that's why we're pushing so hard. We got the language, we got the dictionaries done, and we're working on still on the language and stuff like that, and just trying to get as much info. They're starting to burn the cameras and all that. So it's just wherever we can happen to find someone that might know something.
That's amazing. I'm so glad that you guys are holding on and restoring your language. For our culture, the Nut people, our language, our songs is our oral history. It's the history of.
Yeah, it was never written language. Nobody ever wrote down the word
Yeah,
like that. So it was always oral. It was hard to do this they actually have recordings of John Hudson, who was a relative of mine. And the guys, like, we had 3 different people do it. One guy was English, one guy was German, one guy was from New York. So when they wrote it down, what they heard, some hear a G, some hear a K, some hear an S, some would hear like a T. So spelled different, and everyone did it differently. But when Paul does it, there was 3 different dialects. There was the Tulalip, I'm not in Washington anymore. There was God, I can't get it. So there was the Yonkala Kalapuya, and then there was the Santiam, which is this area, and then up north is Tualatin. So in that dictionary, when he gives an example of word, he'll give you every single dialect, and then he'll give an example. That's how detailed that dictionary is. I mean, you got one word, yeah, it's amazing. This is Kalapuya English, so I don't think anyone can, I know some words, but they do have all volumes here, so, and they can be ordered, yes.
Do you know the story about when they had a big landslide on the Columbia and blocked the Columbia? I know there's a story behind that.
Landslide?
Yeah, Bridge of the Gods or something?
I don't think I ever remember hearing a story about a landslide. Also, story about fishing up there and stuff like that.
I knew that all the tribes up in that area, they use the Chinook trade jargon. And
Yeah,
that-
Chinook Wawa, yeah.
Yeah, that's the language they use. It was like, kind of like English, you know.
Yeah, it's so
It's
easy,
kind
like, that's the
yeah.
first native language I learned, and I can remember I was telling this, we were talking to these guys when we were at a fire, we were at a party, I don't know what it was. They're like, oh, she's native and all that kind of stuff, and he's like, oh yeah, what tribe are you? I go, I'm from right here, I'm from Yuquaw means here, so I was like, my tribe's from right here, Yuquaw. He was like, and I go, and I'm Kalapuya, right? So like 5 minutes later, this guy goes, what tribe are you from? And this guy goes, she's Yuquaw, didn't you hear her? No, that makes sense, but yeah, we did that with the kids until we started working on other languages.
Yeah.
So Chinook Wawa is a big one, so you can look it up on the internet, they'll give you everything.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, guys, well, thank you so much, enjoy your weekend.